welcome to Confused Reviews, where a cartoon drawing reviews movies. And I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's got the perfect amount of suspense and a terrifying atmosphere. It also introduced one of the craziest families in horror history, as well as Leatherface, one of the scariest of the horror slashers. Also, it was a huge success at the box office, like others of the slasher genre. And after a decade of silence in 1986, the studios basically told Tobe Hooper, "We're making a sequel with or without you." So, Tobe Hooper decided to go balls to the walls crazy and make one of the weirdest and most interesting sequels ever. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It tells the story of Stretch, a radio host who's terrified by a certain family of cannibals you may or may not be familiar with. Oh yeah, Dennis Hopper's in there somewhere too. And it's really good. What the hell was that?
Luke, you better not be saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is good.
Carter? The musical genius who created my intro/outro music?
Yeah?
What are you doing here?
Making sure you're not saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is good.
I just did. So what? It's my opinion, and I think it's good.
But it's not. It's silly, and the wonderful suspense of the original is gone.
Well, yeah, obviously. It's never going to surpass the original, just like how none of the Halloween sequels surpassed the original.
So you agree with me that it sucks?
No.
Are you serious? The poster is copying The Breakfast Club.
Alright, I'll admit, that is a little silly.
So, what now?
Well, usually this is the part where I go through the movie.
Let's do it, and I'll prove you wrong.
Whatever, man. Let's just go through this movie and agree to disagree. This is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So the film begins with some narration similar to the original.
It seems to have no end.
That's about right.
We then open to some classic shooting mailboxes. Is that a thing in Texas?
We see the two scholars playing this game include a guy ripped right out of the late 60s, and the other is Mr. Rogers' nephew.
They call into the radio station and we meet Stretch, played by Caroline Williams.
They then decide to play a game of chicken with a local. Judging by what I've heard from Texas can be like, that's not a good idea.
It suddenly turns to night and we meet LG, played by Lou Perryman. The two dickheads from earlier call into the radio station again, but are soon stopped on a bridge by the same truck from earlier.
I told you it wasn't a good idea.
Suddenly, Leatherface, wearing a corpse, decides to give one of these two guys a haircut. Fun fact, the corpse seen here is supposed to be that of the hitchhiker from the original. Weird.
The hippie doesn't take too kindly to his friend being turned into a Nerf super soaker, and he's presumably killed off screen.
What a bummer. They got Tom Savini to do the special effects and they killed him off screen.
Yeah, that sucks.
The next morning, we return to Lieutenant Lefty Enright, played by Dennis Hopper.
Oh great, the guy from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, and he was also in Speed and Apocalypse Now, so shut the fuck up.
We find out he's Sally's and Franklin's uncle, so he's obviously seeking revenge for Leatherface and company killing half of that pairing.
Later on, we head to a chili contest and find out that Drayton Sawyer won, played by Jim Siedow, which is gross because he is a cannibal and all.
Another fun fact, Jim Siedow is the only actor to be in both films.
And like I said, this movie is batshit crazy, so Lefty Enright then buys 3 chainsaws and viciously chops some wood.
Okay, I'll admit, that was pretty cool.
Oh, and Enright chats with Stretch. It doesn't really go anywhere. Whatever.
Stretch then plays the recording of Leatherface killing those two dudes from earlier, and it honestly sounds like something from a Rob Zombie song.
Drayton then finds out about the recording on the radio and turns that RV right around.
Stretch then gets a phone call with no one on the phone.
Probably those damn telemarketers trying to sell me some security systems. Fucking hate those guys.
Stretch then hears the sounds of a chainsaw starting up. Wonder who it could be.
Turns out not to be Leatherface, and is instead one of the best characters in the whole series. Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley.
What do you mean best? I feel violated just looking at him.
You do realize this is a horror series, right? So if you're scared by him, he technically did his job, indicating some creative thought.
Yeah, but... shut up.
Before Chop Top can molest Stretch, Leatherface busts in to remind everyone he's the star of this franchise.
LG returns with some coffee and meets Chop Top.
He also says one of the best lines in cinema history.
Hey, lick my plate, you dog dick!
I don't like this movie, but that was amazing.
Right? Can you just see that on a t-shirt? It's perfect.
Chop Top then beats the shit out of LG with a hammer.
Aw, I liked LG.
Really? He had like 9 lines.
He was still cool, damn it.
Leatherface then enters stage left and tries to kill Stretch.
He then awkwardly humps Stretch with a chainsaw. Awesome. Stretch then escapes and heads to Ed Gein's amusement park.
She's then intercepted by Clark Griswold's station wagon.
It turns out just to be Lefty, and she falls in the classic trapdoor floor.
What?
I don't even know. She then falls down the same slide the Goonies rode down and ends up in Pam's labyrinth.
Lefty then realizes the finale is coming up and grabs his chainsaws.
Stretch wakes up in Rocky's meat locker and is eventually found by Leatherface. Good job.
Turns out LG is still alive and now he looks like Frank from Hellraiser.
Yay!
Oh wait, he's dead again.
Aww.
Stretch eventually escapes and Lefty finds Franklin's skeleton.
Who they decided to leave in his wheelchair. Weird.
Stretch then runs from Leatherface.
As most women do.
When the rest of the family catches up to them,
Drayton then says,
The Saw is family.
hey, that's the tagline for the third movie.
Stretch then wakes up at the dinner table introduced to Grandpa.
Who looks great for his age of 137. That's at least what the movie says. Weird.
They then let Grandpa hit Stretch with a hammer.
Because that worked so well in the original and didn't cause Sally to escape. Oh wait, it did. Shit.
He eventually makes contact and gives her a serious concussion.
Lefty eventually busts in and literally cuts Drayton's ass.
Whew. I need a minute to prepare for this.
I know, it's pretty intense.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Lefty and Leatherface then fight with fucking chainsaws. While that macho madness is happening, Chop Top chases Stretch.
But who cares? Lefty and Leatherface are fighting with fucking chainsaws.
Fuck yeah. Leatherface eventually gets stabbed by Lefty and Chop Top tackles Stretch.
She eventually makes it to the roof and Chop Top slits his own throat.
He then slices her up while she sits there trying to start the chainsaw. Now, I'm no chainsaw expert, but couldn't she just stab him with the chainsaw? I know it wouldn't work as well, but wouldn't it at least do some damage?
That does make sense.
She eventually gets it working and causes Chop Top to fall off the edge and fall down a tube. Awesome.
Yeah, well, she goes fucking crazy and the movie ends rather abruptly.
And that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And it was awesome.
No, it sucked.
Okay, let me start off by saying what's good in this movie. Caroline Williams and Dennis Hopper are good, and Hopper kicks ass. Chop Top and the rest of the family are just as batshit crazy as ever. Leatherface is still big and badass and continues to be one of the best of his genre. LG's death is pretty cool, and the effects are damn good.
But on the other hand, there aren't that many kills to begin with. Also, the amazing suspense and atmosphere of the original is totally gone. The gruesome realism is gone, and instead, it's just like a cheap slasher. And following after the original, it went from a horror mastermind directing a genius film to a kindergartner writing a Looney Tunes cartoon with Leatherface in it on a napkin. It's eons below the original, and not what could have been for a sequel.
Okay, I know this movie is nowhere near as good as the original, and it never could have or would have been as good, and Tobe Hooper knew that. So he decided to make a parody of the original. I know the script is shit and the characters are flat, but it's a fun watch if you just enjoy it for what it is. A fun, nonsensical parody on the original. If you still can't get over those things, then yeah, you won't like it, and I understand why people don't like it. I didn't like it for years. But after I accepted it as basically a joke, I love the shit out of it, for a different reason than why I love the original. And I think we can both agree it's definitely not as bad as later sequels.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right too. That's what's great about opinions, especially on movies. Love 'em or hate 'em, it's up to you.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper is pretty cool in this.
And it's not a good movie, and I get it. I'm gonna give Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 a B, because I like it for what it is.
And I'm going to give Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 a C, because it's not good, but it is in a way, kinda.
I'm glad we could finally agree on it. Kind of. It's nice.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Thanks for joining me. This was fun.
Yes, it was, but if you'll excuse me, I've got some more kick-ass music to write.
Until next time.
Excellent!
Well, that was interesting. I'm Confused Reviews. Thanks for watching.
Stretch then wakes up at the dinner table, introduced to Grandpa. What an old faggot. And Chop Top slits his own throat because he's suicidal. It's a sad epidemic, really. Alright, now for the long one here.
That's what she said.